Chicago, and the queerest space socialism has ever taken place. If the robber barons had had a bar mitzvah, it would have been in this room. Okay, we want to move on with our program, which will be short and sweet tonight. I want to get things moving quite quickly. We do have a bit of excellent news from the West Coast this morning. As people know, the International Longshoremen Workers Union, the ILWU on the West Coast at the port at San Francisco is in Oakland. They're very touchy out there. In Oakland, called for refusing to unload a ship from Israel. Palestine showed up at the port to ensure that trade unionists would not unload apartheid Israeli goods on that port today. Another ship is set to arrive at 4 p.m. today. More activists are arriving, and the union is refusing to unload that ship too. Actions of solidarity by labor will spread across the world and certainly across this country. It's unprecedented in our lifetime that a ship from Israel would be unloaded in an American port. It's brilliant. I want to get our program going by first announcing the editor of the International Socialist Review, Ahmed Shawki, would like to make a few brief comments about our weekend.
Can you hear me, comrades, friends? Yes? Louder? It'll go back to Sherry. I want to speak on behalf of the Socialism organizing team and first thank everyone who attended, everyone who helped build this. Socialism 2010, I think we can fairly say, is an enormous success. We are having a big debate as to how many people actually attended. Taking the cautious side, I'm glad to announce that 990 people registered for socialism. I am told by some that's just under 2,000, and by others that's just over 1,000, given that people clearly streamed in that we didn't know about. I'm trying to make a joke. 990 people registered. The attendance was slightly less than that. Some people who'd registered were not able to make it, but those are the figures. The highlights are far too many to give, but from the meetings on Thursday night, the Gaza rally on Friday, this session, some of the international speakers that we've had, some of the many talks on theory, everything, it seems to me, was helped build that success. I also want to thank a couple of foundations who have been backing some of the projects of CIRSC and Haymarket, the Wallace Global Fund, and Lenin Foundation. To whom we owe an enormous debt of gratitude and thank Lannan Foundation for also helping boost the numbers in attendance at Socialism by bringing a dozen or more to the conference. Socialism 2010 will end today, but not really, because we're getting number 2 in Oakland, California in 2 weeks' time. So those of you who can attend are encouraged to go, and we hope that will be as successful as this event. Now, I want to just announce 2 projects that we've launched that you'll see some details of on your seats, but that I want to pay special attention to before I call on the next speaker. The first, last year we launched a Sherry Wolf's book. This year, I'm glad to announce that we have a new title in the same series on socialism called Ecology and Socialism, Solutions to Capitalist Ecological Crisis by Chris Williams. And I want to try to... I like that. And I want to urge everybody to buy this book. We'll be doing a tour and a full-blown campaign around the book. But to thank Chris and also everyone who helped in making sure that this book comes out. And please pick it up from Haymarket. The other project that I want to announce, you'll see on a photo of it on your seats, on a leaflet that was on your seats, is the launching of a brand new website. Sorry, I'm smiling because I'm thinking we are doing an awful lot of stuff. Wait till you hear this one. Called wearemany.org. Now, this website is a full audio and visual website which will host hundreds of talks and videos, including already 20 talks from this conference. And I'd like to thank a special thanks to the comrades and supporters of CIRSC who have helped this come together. Andrew Friend, who did a lot of work on the audio end of this year's Socialism. And the technical wizardry of Derek Wright and Jason Yanowitz, as much as it pains me. Stand up. Jason is the one trying to hide in the back of the hall there. The technical wizardry without which this really would not have been possible. And the hundreds of hours of person hours that it takes to build the infrastructure for such a website. Oh, it's no comment. I was told by Derek and Jason, because I'm technically apparently a little backwards, we are on iTunes. You know? See, they're going, oh my God, did I get that right? You can get a podcast on iTunes for this site, so check it out. So that's what I wanted to say. Socialism 2011 begins today as well in terms of building for it. And I want to call on David Zirin to make an appeal to all of you on behalf of CIRSC and Haymarket. I should say critically acclaimed author David Zirin, whose book is the best-selling book, although Sherry Wolf is closely on his heels.
Do you get the feeling that when Ahmed talks about iTunes, he'd be far more comfortable saying 8-track? I got that Get these kids off my lawn with their iTunes. Look. Well, first of all, if you had a weekend to remember, give me a hell yeah. Just checking. Okay. Look, before I make an appeal to Haymarket, I want to tell a very brief World Cup story, because there's this tournament going on right now you might have heard about. England just played Algeria, and the England coach wanted to psych up his team by showing them a film about kicking some Algerian butt. And he didn't pre-screen the film. This is true. Went down to the Blockbuster and picked up Battle of Algiers. England played scared. The score was 0-0 at the end. What does that have to do with Haymarket? Nothing, but the shit is funny. Now, seriously, before we get to anything else, it must be acknowledged that this past year, we lost 3 people who had relationships with Haymarket Books, and they should all be recognized at this event today. We lost Dennis Brutus, the poet of the South African freedom struggle, our dear friend. We lost Chris Harman of the British Socialist Workers' Party, the author of the forthcoming Zombie Capitalism. And we lost our collective history teacher, the people's historian, Howard Zinn. Something that he liked to say with his sly grin and his white hair falling in front of his face just a little bit, where he would say, "Education can and should be dangerous." I think that might work as an alternative slogan for Haymarket Books. You could see the shirts. Haymarket Books, we're dangerous. Not just because of the words on the page. That, in a lot of ways, is the easy part. But they're dangerous because we take those ideas and, backed by the largest grassroots socialist organization in the United States, we bring them across the country. Now, so another Haymarket slogan could be Haymarket Books. It ain't propaganda, it's an agitational act. And anyone who saw Sherry Wolf speak in Washington, D.C. the day before the National Equality March with Cleve Jones at a bookstore around her book, you might have heard of it, Sexuality and Socialism, with 200 people spilling out onto the street to listen, then you know how a book event in the hands of Haymarket and in the hands of the ISO can be something entirely different. We need to do more of that. Ahmed mentioned touring Chris Williams. Where is Chris? Is he still here? Oh, no, there he is. People, if you don't know him, get to know his face because he's coming to your town soon. Around ecology and socialism, because it's not just about Chris going to your local bookstore or campus. It's about taking the very argument on the cover of the book, system change, not climate change. Did I get that right? Whatever. The point is, we got to change the system. Thank you, Chris. As I said it. All right, we're also putting out a book by Palestinian activist Omar Barghouti. The title of the book, subtle as a blowtorch, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions. But we don't just want to put out this book. We want to fly Omar in from Palestine and tour him. And not Omar alone. Not Omar alone. We also have an agreement from Ilan Pappé, who is an Israeli-born professor who is in exile right now in England, who wrote The Ethnic Cleansing of Israel. He's a fellow... The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. Oh my God. That won't get me back in the synagogue anytime soon. Wow. Jeez. Wow, a bar mitzvah joke and a synagogue joke in one. There you go. That's what you get when you're in the jazz band. That's Jewish anti-Zionist for the uninitiated. Okay. And also, we are going to be putting out as soon as possible, in conjunction with OR Books, we've got this agreement just about signed, an anthology of the Gaza flotilla attacks to counter the lies being put forward by the media about what happened. And lastly, next spring for Haymarket Books, we hope to have out, title not sure, but it's going to be the autobiography of John Carlos, 1968. Now, for those who remember, John Carlos might be the best public speaker I've ever seen. He doesn't so much speak as he holds court. And John Carlos, the reason why he chose Haymarket over any other publisher that would have done this is because he said this to me, he said, Dave, I don't care about the book. I care about going to Harlem. I care about going to the south side of Chicago. I care about getting in some of these churches in front of a couple hundred people and keeping the history alive. And he sees us as the vehicle to make that a reality, and we should be very, very proud of that. Now, this is what we want to do. It's a tall order, no question about it. But it's absolutely impossible to do any of it without the support of the folks here. That's why those sheets are on the chair. That's why we're asking people to make a tax-deductible donation to the nonprofit organization that is the Center for Economic Research and Social Change. Please give generously. If you can't afford to give generously, give ungenerously. But give something. Give something, please, because we want to put ideas into action, because we have a world to win. And just hearing some of the talks this weekend, meeting the comrades from around the country, it's not just a world that we need to win. I think it's a world that we can win, because the people in this room, we are dangerous people. We are dangerous people. And we are dangerous people. And it's like Howard said, you can't be neutral on a moving train. The train has left the station. It's time for us to take over the conductor's job and run it for ourselves, for the workers of this country and around the world. It's our train, not theirs, but we got to support Haymarket to make it happen. Thank you very much.
Call your attention to one other thing that's on your chair. It is a sticker to advertise, to publicize socialistworker.org, a daily website of radical left-wing news analysis. Get it up in places where it's legal. We don't want to pay the fines. But get it up, get it out there, and circulate the news about this phenomenal Marxist daily website. I want to acknowledge the participation of some of our international guests here before I introduce our first speaker. We are obviously thrilled to have had Kevin Ovington, Gilbert Ashkar, and Tariq Ali on a brilliant panel Friday night breaking the siege of Gaza. But in addition, we have others who are here with us this weekend representing their organizations, and I want to name them off. Mick Armstrong from Australia's Socialist Alternative, Bushra Khalid from Women Workers Hotline and the Labour Party of Pakistan, who at the 11th hour was able to get a visa and make her way here She will be on to Detroit and the U.S. Social Forum this week, and then on to Oakland Socialism 2010. We're thrilled to have you. We also have Martin Smith from the British Socialist Workers' Party, Dave McNally from the New Socialist Group of Toronto, John Riddell, Suzanne Weiss, and Ian Angus from Socialist Voice of Canada. And of course, our brilliant comrades from Puerto Rico in the organization Socialist International. Our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico living inside of this empire's colony have played a key, crucial role in a victorious strike against the state of Puerto Rico at the University of Puerto Rico just this week. And the final international guest I want to introduce will be speaking before us tonight. Anyone who has heard him speak and the message he brings from the battle lines of Athens, Greece, will know. Get on your feet. Antonis Davanellis will rock your world. Internationalist Workers Left. Antonis.
Dear comrades, I'm bringing to you the warmest greetings of International Workers Left, my organization in Greece, and also the greetings of the larger coalition of the radical left, Syriza, in which our organization is taking part from the beginning 6 years ago in the Greek left. I must say that personally I am very happy and deeply honored to be in this conference and speak with you after 4 or 5 years that I have to see you. I'm coming from a small country in a corner of Europe. Usually developments there, it's very important for the Greeks, but not to the rest of the world. This is not the case now. Everybody in the big press even, they are talking about the Greek laboratory. This laboratory has producing 2 messages. The first is really a monster. I mean, it's a Frankenstein. It can be described in the agreement between the Greek government, the European Union, the European Central Bank, and the IMF. It's a program to make the workers pay all the cost of the crisis. It's a program threatening the wages as we know it, the pensions as we know it, the public health system as we know it, the public education, etc. It's a program pushing unemployment and flexibility to levels unknown until today. Dear comrades, all the social rights, all the workers' rights, all that we have won with the huge struggles of the 20th century are in danger by a program like this. And this monster is already traveling towards Europe, to the south of Europe, and everybody knows that after that it will be France, Britain, all the continent. But there is also a second message of the Greek laboratory. The message is that we can resist, that we can win, that we can overthrow this policy and all the powers that are supporting this policy. In Greece, general strikes are happening often. There are even bureaucratic general strikes. Happen very often. But the general strike of 5th of May was a turning point. It was something new. It was huge, it it was very political, it was marked by the anger of the people. For hours and hours at that day, the police was trying to protect the parliament, not from the anarchists, not from the leftists, but from workers, from nurses, from doctors, from teachers, and by the left. It was not the only day. 2 weeks after, another general strike with the same characteristics have been organized. And a new general strike is being organized on the 29th of June. Dear comrades, about Greece, the Minister of Tourism has produced a slogan, "Come in summer and live your myth in Greece." This summer, if you want to have vacation, don't come in Greece. Because probably the airport will be closed. Probably. The buses will be on strike. And probably circulation in the center of Athens will be a little more difficult than usual. Resistance is not isolated in Greece, and we must be clear on this. I was really impressed by the interest of the working class people to read news, to listen news, to find news about what's happening in Spain, in Portugal, in France. And we have news from this country. We have demonstrations, we have strikes, we have preparations for general strikes. For me, it was a new thing, the demonstration in Budapest and Bucharest, in two countries that after the fall of Stalinism had huge illusions about the European Union. And now they are again demonstrating. And it was very touching for us to see the picture in the streets of Budapest with the slogan, "Today we are all Greeks." There is nothing about national superiority on this. They are talking about the pigs, the country pigs of the south of Europe. In which country they are referring? To Portugal, who has given the big democratic anti-colonial revolution of '74, to Italy, with the biggest workers and social movements of the International 68, to Ireland, to which the new elected Prime Minister of Britain felt the obligation to apologize about the Bloody Sunday, to Greece or to Spain, the country who has given the slogan that we must remember in the months that are coming, non passaran. We are absolutely proud to be part of the pigs company, because the pigs knows how to fight. And I am absolutely sure that in the months that will follow, they will prove it in the streets and in the factories of the south of Europe. Just for a moment, comrades, thought what this country have done to the past and imagine what they can do in the future. That was my first point. The second point that I want to raise, I have been in the discussion about the IWW, and I fully agree with the comrades who put the remark how we need the relation between strike action and politics. General strikes, it's absolutely needed. It will be a very important element of the resistance, but it will not be the only element. The fight which is in front of us will be a political struggle. hear what the governments, the experts of the IMF, the big press, the ruling classes are saying today. They don't dare to say that their policies are good for the people. They don't dare to say that all these policies are good for the working class. They say it's bitter, but it's inevitable. Do you have an alternative? So, comrades, we must fight, we must strike, but also we must produce alternatives. We must give answers how to deal with the debt, how to deal with the discipline that they demand to the common coin, to euro, with the discipline to the European Union and all the threats that Merkel or Sarkozy or everybody are pushing towards us. And we must produce larger alternatives. How we can organize the whole society in a different base, in the base of the needs of the people and not in the base of profit. And to do so, comrades, we need to remember, in many things we need to remember Lenin, but I will refer on this, that in a political struggle, the only tool that we have is our political organizations and our political parties. So we are discussing for the left. Speaking the language of the market, which is à la mode, I don't know the expression in English. In Europe, there is a huge demand for the left, but the offer is very limited. So it's clear that the existing left is lower of the level needed by the circumstances. Trying to defend ourselves, trying to defend our class, trying to resist to this very reactionary politics. We must change the left. We must change even ourselves. I know that is easy to say and very difficult to do. But comrades, I'm absolutely convinced that in the period coming, thousands of people will be involved in this problem in a way that we have not seen since the big 68 movement. Thousands of workers from below that have voted the Social Democrat Party in Greece now are hating this government, trying to find alternatives. They are looking to the left. Thousands of workers or young people who have been inside the old historical left, I mean the communist parties or the Euro-communist parties that exist in Europe, have problems with the ideas of these parties. So it will be opportunities, it will be danger, it will be challenges. And my last point is, can we have a prognosis where this situation is going? To be honest, comrades, no. What I know is that we are entering a long-term fight. It will be wins, it will be defeats, it will be slowdowns, it will be running, it will be many things. I also know that the fight which is in front of us has historical proportions. If they will win, it will be a major defeat for us. But if we win, it will be a major defeat for them and will open new possibilities, new completely possibilities to change the whole system, start discussing in a new level, start preparing in a new level, start trying in a new level for socialist revolution and socialism. What I can promise, I am sure that the workers in Greece will fight. I am sure that the workers in south of Europe will fight. I am sure that the workers in Europe will fight. We will see the result. In this perspective, comrades, it will be very useful, very helpful to know what I have seen here. That you here, in the biggest country of the capitalist system, you are fighting, and you are fighting for us all. That's the message I will take back to my comrades, and with these thoughts, good luck to everyone of you.
Our final speaker of the weekend, Sharon Smith, is a columnist for socialistworker.org, the author of Women in Socialism, and of course, Subterranean Fire. Sharon.
You know that old saying, there's two sides to every story? Which usually means, you need to carefully weigh both sides of every argument. You need to avoid jumping to conclusions and favoring one side over the other. Well, we socialists have a slightly different take on that saying. Yes, there are two sides to every story. And when it comes to the class struggle, one is right and one is wrong. And if you are not on one side, then you are on the other. Karl Marx said that history is at every point determined by the class struggle. And there come certain points in history, like today, when the two sides of every single political argument are so clearly posed in front of us that there shouldn't be too much difficulty figuring out which side you are on. You are either on the side of Arizona, or you are fighting to build a new civil rights movement that champions the rights of every immigrant man, woman, and child. Of the apartheid state of Israel, or you are building the boycott, divest, sanctions movement to put an end to Israeli barbarism. You're either on the side of the anti-abortion zealots, that's the nice way I refer to them, the anti-abortion zealots, or you are on the side of every woman who chooses to terminate an unwanted pregnancy for any reason she sees fit. Either you are on the side of the loony right wing of the GOP, or you are ready to fight to the finish to win equal marriage for all LGBT people. If the financial crisis has created a mass hatred of the corporate class in this country, and I believe it has, the events of the last few months, from the BP oil spill to Israel's attack on the Freedom Flotilla, have injected a degree of politics into society that cannot be ignored. We know that we are on the right side of history, And it doesn't matter how big or how small a movement or a demonstration is. We have a responsibility to build it. Those who think that I'm exaggerating about this historic turning point should understand that we will not be receiving a memo telling us that it has arrived. The evening news will not be announcing it. We have a role in creating it. Keep in mind that the immigrants' rights movement did not start in 2006, and it did not end in 2007. The movement against Arizona is not a new movement, but a continuation of an ongoing movement that many thousands of people have been building for a very, very long time. There is a continuum, and we can't let the ups and downs and even the defeats that we have behind us, and we will certainly have in front of us, let it make us forget that we are on the right side of history. Rosa Parks knew she was on the right side of history when she refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white man. And her courageous act did touch off a new phase of the civil rights movement. But it is less well known that Rosa Parks did the exact same thing 11 years earlier. And there was no effect other than Rosa Parks getting arrested. There was no outcry. There was no mass struggle that followed. The lesson, I think, in this is that we cannot be tied down by the past. Now is not the time for us to say, oh, we tried that before and it didn't work. On the contrary, now is the time for audacity. We stand in awe of the young immigrants today who have the audacity to wear a t-shirt that says, "Proud to be undocumented." If the political lessons of yesterday were those of defeat and isolation, those of today are solidarity and struggle. The ban on ethnic studies in Arizona is, by the way, also a ban on African American studies and Native American studies, which apparently also teach the overthrow of the U.S. government. And if they get away with it in Arizona, they will get away with it everywhere. We all have a stake in the struggle in Arizona. And let's face it, our side is starting to score a couple of victories. A couple of them have already been mentioned. But it's no small matter that the largest union in the city of Chicago has just elected a reform slate that includes one of our own. Vice President Jesse Sharkey, are you here? The old guard leadership tried a smear campaign. They spread around these leaflets. They were actually hilarious, but they were intended to smear, to red bait this reform slate. The caucus of rank and file educators, I should name the reform slate, they had leaflets that showed the presidential candidate Karen Lewis and Jesse Sharkey speaking at the Midwest Socialist Conference. Ooh. With a headline screaming, "Don't let socialists take over our union." And guess what? It backfired on them. The members of the Chicago Teachers Union elected the reform slate by a landslide last week. You know what? The methods of the past are no longer quite as effective, apparently, as they were in the past in crushing the opposition. It is no small matter either that Obama has announced that hospitals that receive Medicaid or Medicare funding, which is pretty much every hospital, must allow LGBT people the same rights to visit their loved ones that heterosexuals enjoy. Yes, it's about time. But what Obama may not realize at this historical juncture is that tossing a few crumbs to the little people might not have the intended effect. On the contrary, those few crumbs might just whet our appetite for the whole meal. And at this juncture of history, when the struggle cries out, the cry for struggle is everywhere we look, the need for politics is just as urgent, making the need for building a political organization much more obvious than it's been in the past. Opinion poll after opinion poll, as we know, has shown that socialism is looking a lot more appealing to more and more people in the U.S. population, and that millions of young people in particular are embracing the need for social change, are against racism, are for immigrants' rights, are for LGBT rights, and are open to the politics of socialism in a way that we have not seen, as Antone said, since the 60s generation. Our job is to win them to revolutionary socialism. Not counterposed to the struggle, hey, come over here and read my book. No. But as we fight side by side and shoulder to shoulder with every fighter in the struggle. And I have one last thought that I want to conclude with, because it is true that the revolutionary left is in crisis. The last few decades have been brutal, let's face it, for revolutionaries, not just in this country, but around the world. The previous era was one of ruling class, enormous ruling class success, which is always bad for our side. But the very excesses of the ruling class, which has become unaccustomed to opposition from below, their very excesses, from the banking crisis to the BP oil spill, both of them man-made disasters that are a direct result of corporate greed, and also the thoroughly man-made disaster of endless war in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Well, those very ruling class excesses have now created the conditions for rebuilding a left-wing opposition and rebuilding the revolutionary left in particular. When the Soviet Union collapsed 20 years ago, it wasn't at all obvious at the time, I don't think to anyone, that the fall of the Soviet Union would create the conditions for the revolutionary left to rebuild itself on a new political basis, on an international scale. We don't yet know what form a new revolutionary will take, what it's going to look like, what exactly it's going to stand for. That is going to be determined by the future struggle, everything that lies ahead of us. But let there be no doubt that this era will create the possibility for the reconstitution of a revolutionary socialist left. And as I look around this room, at the last meeting of this wonderful conference, I have no doubt at all that we are going to be at the very heart of the struggle for a future socialist society. Thank you.
if you have your program still, they're the words to a song inside of it called the Internationale. And for people who are new, I'm actually going to read a little bit of what it says about those lyrics. The Internationale has been the socialist movement's anthem for more than a century. Eugène Potier, a French artisan who played a leading role in the Paris Commune, wrote the words while in hiding following the Commune's defeat in 1871. A Belgian worker, Pierre de Guyter, set the words to music in 1888. Since then, it has been the song of the international workers' movement, always sung at large gatherings and many small ones. The Internationale was sung by mutinous Russian sailors on the battleship Potemkin during the 1905 revolution, by the socialist defenders of the Warsaw Ghetto in 1943, imagine that, and by workers and students in Tiananmen Square in 1989, and by every international and every national gathering of the ISO since its inception in 1977. All right, so let's go. The first verse we're going to sing without our fists in the air, and the last part we'll put our fists in the air. Just don't feel, weirded out by your experience. Arise, ye prisoners of starvation. Arise, ye wretched of the earth. For justice thunders condemnation. A better world's in birth. No more traditions chains shall bind us. Arise, ye slaves, no more in thrall. The earth shall rise on new foundations. We have been not, we shall be all. 'Tis the final conflict. Let each stand in their place. The international working class shall free the human race. 'Tis the final conflict. Let each stand in their place. The international working class shall free the human race. If only you sang that at baseball, it'd be nice. Let me just explain that the little thing we add at the end where we do the clapping and we say solidarity comes directly out of a lockout and struggle of Staley workers in Central Illinois that we were a big part of supporting and doing strike support for. And it's now become, it was part of their everyday tradition while they were in struggle, and then it became part of our tradition as well.